All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host today, Samantha Studebaker Carl. And today I'm here with my good friends, Lori and Kenji and Catherine and Sherry and Dan. And today we are going to continue our discussion of the book, Hunting Discomfort by Sterling Hawkins. And we are in chapter 3. We're in chapter 3 right now? Yeah, chapter 3. On page 40, if you have the hard copy, the section titled Transforming Limiting Beliefs, Imagine Bigger, Bolder, Beyond Now. But before we start that, I want to give my friends an opportunity to jump out and introduce themselves and then get going from there. So everybody jump out.
I'm not jumping, but I'm Lori Emmons in Denver.
I'm Sherry, just north of Baltimore, so we've had a lot of news. Saying prayers for all of the people affected.
Absolutely.
Kenji, Portland, Maine.
Dan Sissick, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Good morning. This is Catherine Clement.
Whoa.
Transforming limiting beliefs. Imagine bigger, bolder, beyond now. We are hunting our limiting beliefs and all the discomfort this entails so that we can perceive a more expanded version of reality. Seeing a new reality isn't the result of simply changing our mind about it. Often our views are defense mechanisms that keep our egos safe by changing the very facts in our mind so we are no longer wrong or culpable, writes psychologist and keynote speaker Guy Winch. We can pay lip service to a new view, but to step into a new reality, we have to experience that new view for ourselves. Changing beliefs is more powerful than any finite goal. It has resulted in governments, technologies, and ideas that have changed history. The founders of the United States believed that something other than a European monarchy was possible, not to mention winning a war with a world power. Reusable rockets to get to space were a pipe dream until the likes of SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, and Blue Origin believed otherwise. Even washing our hands wasn't thought to be important until Ignaz Semmelweis, a Hungarian doctor working in Vienna, changed first his and then society's views on microbes. But as long as we are limited in our views, we are limited in our ability to imagine transformative results and potential solutions. The human brain likes simple, straight lines. Note Bart DeLong, Stefano Puntoni, and Richard Larrick, authors of the Harvard Business Review article, Linear Thinking in a Non-Linear World. So we're always trying to fix, adjust, and change in linear ways. With that approach, at best, what we're going to wind up with is a slightly better version of what we already have. Imagining something meaningful, transformative, or even exponentially different might seem impossible, at least with your current set of beliefs. One time, while running a workshop, I asked the participants to figure out how they could take a car from New York to Los Angeles in half a day. Try anything, I told them. Well, they worked with every bit of knowledge they could muster about the routes between these cities. They consulted maps, considered the speed limits, calculated food, gas, and rest stops. There was no way to do it. There was nothing wrong with their approach. It was just missing something so blatantly obvious that everyone overlooked it. The car, the vehicle they were riding in to get them there. Just like our beliefs, they'd missed the primary driver of all the action. Well, one person didn't. The real brain power in the room. An 8-year-old girl who was the daughter of one of the participants. She raised her hand and announced with confidence, "It's easy. Just have a car with wings on it." Some of the more rational-minded adults bristled at the suggestion. Nonsense. Cars don't have wings. But no one had said they had to work only with general available technology. For this task, they'd only been asked to imagine how to do it. Only when you start questioning your beliefs and assumptions about what might be possible can you move into a more visionary solution. It requires making room within your preconceived view about yourself or the world for entirely new possibilities to come soaring in, like a winged car, and create breakthrough results. This workshop exercise is designed to generate creative thinking, and I still sometimes use it in company workshops I run. They're always more fun when kids are involved. Put wings on it. Write down a specific goal or dream that you have. What would success look like? Be specific. Write down your assumptions about what it would take to achieve it. Now, put wings on that car. List 3 mind-boggling, ridiculously over-the-top fantasy ways of achieving that goal or dream. Have some fun here. Let go of limits for just a moment and fly. Give me just a second. How to hack facts. Flying cars aren't generally available at your local Range Rover dealership. Airplanes are relatively easy to come by, though they were once a ridiculous notion as well. I am not proposing that you set goals using the imaginary resources of an 8-year-old, but I am suggesting that we are so overly committed to the sure thing that we are wildly limiting our understanding of what results are possible. Let's talk about the sure thing, i.e., facts and data. Data never lies, they say. It's true, but how the data is presented, what data is presented, or how the data is presented, is interpreted, certainly can lie. We talk about facts like they are the indisputable truth, and yet, these days, it seems that people can come up with whatever facts they need to bolster whatever position they have. With so much conflicting information out there, how can you trust anything? There's a good test for this. It's called physics. I have a friend who works for a big technology company worth billions on the stock exchange and has a reputation of getting things done. The CEO approached him one day and asked to have an entire data center up and running in a new location within 1 week. You don't have to be a tech expert to know that that's a short amount of time for a big project. My friend pushed back on the schedule, resources, and funds, but he wasn't permitted to finish his list of why we can't. The CEO cut him off and simply gave him the physics test. Do the laws of physics make it impossible to do? He asked my friend. Or just your beliefs about what can or cannot be done? That data center was built in 1 week. It was a Herculean effort that squeezed every last drop of creativity, time, and resources from the team. But they did it. When you're looking to see if in reality something is truly possible or not, use that same test. If physics renders it impossible, it's impossible, unless you're Neo. If you can't explain it away with the law of physics, it is technically possible, and it's up to your potential, creativity, and resourcefulness to figure it out. Is it physically possible? Let's go back to that goal or dream you named in the previous exercise. You now know what success looks like, but how do you get there? List reasons you haven't yet realized that goal. Are those reasons backed up by physics or just by relationships, money, time, or any other excuse? If physics doesn't stop you, what would someone you admire do to achieve the goal? What might you now do to achieve the goal? You want me to stop?
I think we stop there.
Okay.
Talk about that for a little bit. Make my notes of where we're stopping. This is an interesting concept, I think, when we're talking about, what we think we can and what we think we can't accomplish. And I love that he used the 8-year-old girl in the room going, "Hello, just put wings on it," and that, I think we need that sometimes, that smack in the face of, hey, you're really not seeing everything from every possible point of view. You're stuck in your own little narrow beliefs, and you sometimes need a smack in the face. And I feel like that's what a lot of these books do for us, is they just are like trying to open our minds to see something from a different perspective. And of course, he's talking about that all throughout this book. It's just changing our beliefs so that we are capable of seeing something from a different angle. And so I really like that. It's kind of interesting, though, to think about something that you want to accomplish and then tell yourself, okay, I'm stuck in my own limiting beliefs, and where do I go from here? How it's like, instead of saying I can't do it, is ask, how can I do it? But I've noticed also that with me, and particularly when it comes to our business, is that when I say how can I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to do that, and then I'm like, get on Google and I start researching, and then I end up on Facebook or end up over here, and I get distracted by the 10,000 things that we see on the internet, and or I'm like, ooh, I needed to learn this one thing. Like, not too long ago, I got online and I don't even remember what I was researching, but then I landed on a financial book. It was like a financial intelligence book, and I'm like, that I need, and so I started reading that, but I lost my whole train of thought at that point. And so I feel like that's a struggle, but I also feel like when I'm trying to figure things out, is that, I mean, literally my beliefs about what are possible are the things that are keeping me from seeing the things that might be possible, and just overcoming that, even though I know that I just need to see it in a different way. It can be difficult. So I don't know. I kind of wonder sometimes, okay, how do I overcome this and figure something out when I don't have any idea how to go about it. I mean, I know it's physically possible. I see other businesses doing way more than what we are, but I'm looking at my going, how in the world, I don't know how to get from here to there, kind of a thing. So that's kind of my thought on it.
I
I'm
think
gonna
it's,
jump out and say I'm kind of like you. I get first I will get defeated because it's almost like, okay, I don't know how to do this. I'm not sure how to go. And I'll be afraid. But then there's a part of me that kicks in and is like, no, I know there's a way to figure this out. I know there's something out there. I know, and I'm like you, I'll start Googling, and then yeah, I get sidetracked, and then it's like I've wasted all this time, and it's like, well, I could have been doing other things had I not gotten down this rabbit hole here. But sometimes that rabbit hole is good because I get in that mode of, I know there's a way to do this. I want to figure out the way to do this. But then it sucks all my time away because they're learning to find that balance of when to put that energy into it when you're in your best mindset. But sometimes you get so like you said, you get so distracted on other things, and you get outside of that realm of being in that, and then you kind of just lose all control and you don't get anything done. If anything I've learned over the last, like 8 or 9 years or how long, is there's usually some type of answer. It may not be the answer I want. It may be more than what I can do at that time, or above my means or whatever, and I have to kind of either put it on the back burner or think of other ways. But like, oh, there was something the other day I was wanting to Google and find out. I was trying to look for a certain type of spreadsheet that I wanted to use, and there's got to be somebody else that had to come up with what I'm looking for needed, because they wanted to do the same thing I wanted to do. And I kept looking, couldn't find exactly. And I'm like, well, I could create it with Excel, but then that's going to take time, energy, effort, and a lot of downtime to do. And I didn't want to put that type of energy and effort into it because I have so many other things to do. And I finally found something that I felt would work, and I'll probably have to play and when I can get back into my laptop. But it's, it's funny how we can shortchange ourselves and short circuit ourselves because we don't look at that, like where would we be today if we didn't have the people like the girl that didn't say, oh, well, we can fly, we can put man in the air. The Wright brothers, started off with their simple, almost like bikes with wings and making that, and then, moving forward and going to other things, and or writing the book like Ithacus or whatever that guy's name that made wings so that way he could soar when he jumped off a cliff and fly high like the eagles. It's being able to go there and then come back around and see the finish. And I think that's what he's saying, is see the finished product. Now just figure out how the ways work backwards to get from the finished product to how to create it. And you should be able to do it. And if the laws of physics show you that it can't be done, then maybe it can't be done. But until you prove it wrong, keep pushing forward.
I can totally understand that. It's hard to live in the now moment and it's hard to know what you don't know, and trying to come up with something like, let's just put wings on it, that seems so simplistic. And after 30 years of trying different things to accomplish my goal of being able to walk normally, because I know how, I've done it before, just trying to take bits and pieces and develop something or find something. I've had so many different things that could do. It's hard to call that limiting beliefs because we only know what we know. And I guess my imagination's not that good, I guess, to think of those things that I don't know. How can I make this work? How can I accomplish this?
I think that it is a metaphor for just that, Lori, that, what are we not thinking of? What have we not tried? What have we not focused on? And we all think a certain way. We all have personality traits that sort of get us to go down the wormhole. And, we don't think outside of our common area.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think that we tend to have this narrow way of thinking. I mean, and here he talks about it's linear thinking, but like for instance, we've had this discussion before where we're talking about like attraction. What do they call that? Not marketing. It's not, well, I mean, marketing is a thing.
Secret of attraction.
The law
Yeah,
of attraction.
Yeah, the law of attraction. That's what I was looking for. And and we've been told by a lot of these gurus that if you focus on it or you believe in it or whatever, it's going to come to us, right? And so it's like, for example, when we were looking for a house to buy, And I kept going, we're not finding it, we're not finding it. And I had this kind of realization when I was when we were talking about the law of attraction. I'm like, well, the law of attraction is bringing it to me all the time. It's bringing properties to me left and right. I'm seeing this property here and that one here and that one there, and da 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 da. But I'm the one that's saying, nope, that's not good enough. Nope, that isn't the way I want it. Nope, I don't like that color. Nope, I don't like where it's located. Nope, So the universe keeps bringing us stuff, and we're the ones that are like batting it off like they're mosquitoes, and we forget that sometimes because we get into this narrow-minded thinking of, no, if I'm going to have it, it has to be this way, and this is the only option that I'm willing to accept. And I think that does limit us significantly. And I think that this is, it's like right now I've been working on helping my mom move up from Florida. And she's currently in a 1,700 square foot or 1,800 square foot house. And but for her to move up here, she's going to have to move into a much smaller space. But we kept looking, we were looking and we were looking, to try and find something in her budget that she could have exactly basically what she has down there. And we had to change our whole thought process on that. We had to. It just wasn't working out in the way that she was wanting it to. And so it's been a couple of years that she's talked about wanting to move up here, and it wasn't until she allowed herself to say, okay, I can let go of these things in my life because I want this more. I want to move up here more than I want the things. So now I can see a path that I can go down. And I think that we all need to recognize that in our lives, is that, sometimes we're limiting ourselves because we're not allowing for other possibilities to, because the universe it brings us stuff all the time. I mean, I'll say, I don't even know. I don't even have an example at the moment, but the property example was a good one. It's just like, there's all kinds of stuff available to us. It's like that whole saying of, our parents used to tell us, well, at least mine did, money doesn't grow on trees. But that's like the biggest lie in the universe, right? As far as I'm concerned, because exactly where money comes from, I mean, they print it on paper that's made from freaking trees, and if you're really resourceful as a person, you can make a whole business out of relating to trees, raking leaves and trimming trees and creating mulch and all those different things that are landscape related and tree maintenance and all that kind of thing. And but yet we're like, we have it on our mind that it's literal, versus figurative, I guess you could say. But I mean, it is almost literal if you think about it that way. And so how are we blocking ourselves in other ways by saying, nope, that's not what I want because I'm seeing this side of it when I really need to see this side of it, So that's my thoughts.
Well, that kind of also goes back into what we've talked about before in other books and stuff, almost about, like, I'm touching on a little another subject, but scarcity and plenty and stuff like that. Like you said, with the money doesn't grow on trees, but in a roundabout way, yes, it does. It just goes through a lot of processes to get it to where it's got the micro stuff in it and all the stuff, so they know whether it's fake or not. But yeah, but the other thing is, I was the other day when I was out Ubering, and I came by this one place that was building a place called Bojangles, and I guess it's a place from down in the South, and I didn't know what it was. I never heard of it. And the girl said, oh, well, I'm from the South. It's like have you ever heard? And she goes, have you ever heard of Popeye's chicken? I go, oh, yeah, and I've eaten it, tried it a couple times. I still prefer KFC, but my preference. But in that sense, it brought me back to where I realized this a number of years ago, where when I was driving down the street and I saw AM PM on one side, another AM PM across the street from it, then I saw like a Rebel convenience store, and they're all convenience stores, and there's like three of them at one intersection, and then I saw like down further, I saw like a Wendy's, a McDonald's, and I finally realized, I said, there is no lack, there is no scarcity. There's plenty um, of what's available out there. It's just you got to see it and realize that it's there. And then just going back to what we were just talking about, see that finished product and then come back and build up to that finished product. But most people don't get to that stage. And even now, as I'm working on towards getting to where I want to, do my own tax prep business, within this next year, hopefully, if I can get my laptop back. Sorry, that laptop just really put a big crinkle in my life right now. But it's in my head. I'm like, I've done taxes before. I know what to do. I understand it. I didn't. It's not the most fun thing to do in accounting, but it would be a regular type thing, and then I could maybe branch out. But I'm doing that business plan to help look at all the aspects, and I find myself dreaming a little bit more because it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this, and it's fueling me rather than sitting here and just wishing that, oh, my life was, better, this or that or the other thing, because I'm not actively pursuing it enough to make it better too. So I think that goes hand in hand too.
I think sometimes we spend so much time looking at the past and our history that we sort of limit ourselves within the scope of what we've already experienced. Instead of dreaming and aiming big, we sort of get comfortable. And we continue down that path without thinking outside the box, which is the wings on the car.
Yeah, for sure. Like years ago when we were contemplating doing like full-time RVing, and my husband, he was like, oh, how are we going to make a living? How are we going to this? How are we that? And at that time I came across a lot of people who were like, I just want to travel and I want to, I want to see the world. I want to this, I want to that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm right there with you. And yet we're all sitting here going, well, I can't do it because I have this job that I have to, in order to pay my bills, I got to have the job, and my job is here, and so I have to do the work in this place, and I feel like in those years, that was kind of the I wouldn't say the beginning of the it was the earlier times in the internet of trying to generate income online, which is this is how we all kind of came together early on, was because of all these online businesses. We were trying to do this online thing. And what's funny about that is now, I mean, everywhere you look, there are young people, and not even young people, older people, that are online doing stuff that is generating them money, and they don't have to have a job, or not a traditional job, and there's this whole concept of, you can't I don't know, we had it in our own minds, at least I did for the longest time, of I can't do what I love and have the lifestyle that I can't earn a living doing what I love, and my thing was, I wanted to travel or whatever at the time, of course that didn't line up with what Chris wanted, so we had to compromise and we're doing something different, but that's a whole different story. But my whole thought process on it at the time was, I just want to go on these adventures and and live my life and have those experiences. And here now, it's like you can look on everywhere on the internet and you see these folks, that is how they're making their income. I mean, they're literally going on these adventures, filming themselves doing it, showing everybody the equipment and whatever that they're using, and they're earning revenue, like affiliate revenue, or marketing revenue for Amazon, or product placement, or all of those different things. And I'm just like, gosh, it's frustrating to me sometimes, sitting here kind of trying to go, how can I like use that aspect of things that people are doing online like that and grow my business? Because like if I was still in my pet grooming business, it'd be a whole different ball game. That was like early on it with the internet back then, I had started doing like tutorials and started doing, training products and what for some of my clients. And, but I had just reached my limit of, wanting to be in that business. So I retired out of it. But if the internet had been what it is now, when I had started a grooming business, it would have been amazing how easy it was to get clients. Just that, I mean, I see people marketing their businesses, their service businesses all the time, just by showing people how to videos on the internet of how to install a plug in your wall or whatever, how to install, plumbing, or how to install, I mean, all these different things that we think, how to do drywall and tile work and all of these things. And a lot of do-it-yourselfers do the stuff, but a lot of times people end up, oh, it's not working how I want. And then they call you because, you're the expert, and that's how you get the business. And I'm like, if I would, I keep trying to wrap my head around some way to do that with the trucking that we do, and I haven't figured it out yet, but I don't know. There's random thoughts in my head about all of that.
My big issue with all of that is then I become married to this job that I created, that I don't want to be an advisory for anybody. I don't want to be responsible for managing people or directing people. And then my girlfriend lives in a rural area, and she asked to have some of my writing, my poetry, whatever, that she'd have it on air. And that's something I hadn't even considered, using that rural area to get some exposure. And then I'm like doubting whether anyone would even be interested in
Let me jump in and give you a little encouragement, Lori, because I'm going to say something. In the meantime, when I've been like looking for other things and stuff like that, I come across different people, different artists, different creative types, that are just out there, and they're like Samantha's saying, they're using the internet to kind of draw in the type of crowd they want and the type of people. So it becomes a universal search, but what they're drawing in are the people that are more in tune with what they're doing. And I found some musical artists, I found some artists that do things and create things and stuff. And it's a great way to put it out there and then draw people in. And then once you draw the people in that are interested, then you can find the ones that, it's not you specifically targeting it at, oh, this group of people, that group of people. You're just looking at the end result, so to speak, that, okay, I'm going to put this out there for whoever and whatever. And the ones, like going back to what Samantha was saying in the beginning, the universe and law of attraction brings it to you. It will bring those that you want. You just have to keep believing and trusting in what you're putting out there. There are other people that will be interested and want it, because if you look at all the different avenues out there on the internet of what people are putting out there, and some of them are making lots of money, others are not making it as much, but it also depends on how much and how big of an effort they put into it, but also how much they believe in what it is that they're putting out there, and believing that they'll find what, they're just putting it out there, even if it, a lot of times they start, well, if it's one, oh, I got one, oh, now, oh, two, and then they start growing that, and that belief starts growing even more. I learned that when I was, doing taxes. I got one or two clients and stuff, and then it grew and it grew, and I got to my, basic core people, and then I would get walk-ins and stuff like that. So in that sense, I'm sure Samantha's, through the dog grooming and, trucking and stuff, seeing how sometimes just putting it out there, how many ads, I mean, I've answered ads where people put something on a bulletin board and it's like, oh, that looks interesting, let me call that number. There are infinite amount of ways of how we can look at it. Going back to what Cher was saying, a lot of times we get in that our own mind and where we are at and what we think we can do and what limiting beliefs we have, and that, oh, I can't do this because I don't have that degree or this or that, the other. Bull puppies. If we really can get, as kids, we had all these dreams and all these desires and all these wants, and we were going to do this. I was going to be a fireman, I was going to be a teacher, I was going to be this, I was going to be that, I was going to be all these things. Eventually I settled on accounting, but even now there are so many things I want to do, and even at my age, and I believe I can do a lot of them. Some of them I can't as well. I'm coming back around to that kid-like state again, to where, damn it to hell, just do it, type of a mentality, and don't worry so much about how it's going to happen. Just keep working, and when you find what works, multiply it.
Yeah, I'm reminded of when I went to try and learn how to do knitting. This is a good example. And when we talk about art and any kind of, art, is that, it used to be that, okay, you can't make a living with art, right? It was, people were told that all the time back in the day, a starving artist. That's like where that whole thing came from, is you can't make a living with art. And nowadays it's probably one of the easiest things that you can make a living at nowadays, because all you got to do is just put online, videos of yourself doing it, and then have like the affiliate account with Amazon and show people the tools that you use, and and then they buy those tools in order to do the thing that you're doing. I'm like, I kept telling my daughter this. I'm like, you got to just start videoing yourself doing these artistic things. I mean, she was making all kinds of really cool art stuff, and I'm just like, just start taking videos of yourself and put it on Instagram or put it on whatever, and but again, the limiting beliefs were coming up, right? I can't do that. The video would be too dark, or it'd be too this, or it'd be that, or I wouldn't be able to show it right, or you wouldn't be able to see this, or all the things that we do, where we block ourselves with our ideas of, well, it won't be as good as so and so's video, so my video won't work, and uh, it's just not true. I mean, it's not true at all. I used to make videos a while, this has been a long time ago. I used to make how-to videos on how to send a Gmail, or how to send a Yahoo mail, how to create a forward, how to do automatic email forwarding, things like that. And although there wasn't a product connected to it and it was related to something completely different, I had tons of people that were following these videos because I was showing them how to do it. And, and all I was doing, there was other videos out there that you could learn the exact same thing. But, for whatever reason, people found mine and they liked mine as much as any of the other ones, or I showed them something in a different way, or I don't even know. And so people are going to connect to us because of us more than anything. And
Yeah,
I know this is like, we're
authenticity.
kind of like going on a whole nother rant, but it still comes back around. This the whole limiting beliefs thing, is we think we have this idea that we're not good enough in some way, or whatever we would do wouldn't be as good as so and someone else. And so that wouldn't work, and uh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the comparison and competition aspect of it. We are
Uh-huh.
comparing ourselves to someone else, and our own limiting our confining thoughts and processes are what's stopping us. And my point was that it was a whole idea of maybe contacting other remote radio stations and things that are not so influenced by the mainstream media. And then, do I really want to be that involved at this point of my age and retirement? And a lot of it, those videos, things you were teaching, were for those of us that were from the generation before being raised with a device in our hand, and the technology aspects of it that I wasn't raised. I didn't grow up learning, having this stuff right there, and it wasn't part of my scope of learning and education. The internet for dummies or whatever.
Okay, can I throw out an idea for you on that?
I don't know. Can you?
Okay, look at it this way. I'm sure there are a lot of other people that are your age, similar, maybe even similar circumstances, or have other things going on in their life. And they probably think a lot like you. But if you're the one that steps out and starts doing it and then finds them and shows them and help them realize there's a potential there, I'm realizing there's infinite possibilities to what, it really does come back to. A lot of it comes back to us and what the, God, infinite intelligence, the universe gave us to work with. But now it's, we got to work within all that to push through ourselves. And I'm speaking to myself too, because I sit here and go, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I don't have the ability. Oh, nobody would listen, and nobody wants to hear me, or, oh, I'd be too self-conscious. Well,
it's more the idea that I really don't want to work. I'm retired, and I creating all this work for me that I have to be on top of this. I have to be in contact with all these people because I pretty much have my social media stuff on whenever I want to get to it. And in opposition, like my roommate, the dinger goes off and he's got to be right on there to get right with them and get back to them, so they're not having to wait or whatever. And that's the whole issue. I won't say the whole issue, but I don't want to work. I like being retired, but I want the income. I need whatever. And so how can I have it all without doing anything?
That's what we all want. We just wanted to come to us without having to do anything, I don't know, Lori. That's a good question. How can you do the thing that you like and use that in some way without it being a gargantuan effort to, for example, it's like, okay, one of the earlier things that was happening online, where people were literally using the thing that they like, to earn an income, that it wasn't even the way that they were earning anything wasn't even related to that. It was like, okay, so for example, like, there was like hundreds of blogs that popped up in the 90s that were all about cooking stuff, cooking and recipes. And nothing on the blog that they earned revenue from was selling what they made or what they what they used. It was all about, okay, I'm just going to make this I'm going to make this recipe. I'm going to show people how to make it, and they're going to find my blog, and then they would earn money just from like affiliate ads that they placed, they put like Google ads on their website, and those ads would populate themselves, and it's like, and all they had to do is they were just writing and showing people how to make things, and nowadays I hate those websites because they have so many freaking ads on them, but I still go there because I want to know how to make, I don't know, I want a new different recipe for chicken, or I want to, and so it's I don't know. It would be interesting. What if you just like started writing your poetry on a blog and then just had Google ads on there or something? I mean, even
Yeah,
like the old school.
I'm aware of all that.
No,
Then
no.
that requires me to work.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, maybe. And then you just have your roommate do all your social media since he likes to do it.
Oh, no way. I'm like,
Well,
not
see,
having
that's the
somebody
Not the
else
right
eat.
personality for you. Yeah,
No.
right. I don't know.
well, isn't that the thing? We talk about limiting beliefs, but really that's the discomfort you should be hunting. Wherever it is that you're thinking, oh, I want to do this, but I don't want to have to be in charge of a bunch of people or be on a certain schedule or this, those are that's when that feeling, that discomfort of going, oh no, I don't want it to be out of my control or beyond, I don't want it to rule my life, or that's what you got to dig into and go, well, is that true? Is it true that it's going to get bigger than I am and I'm not going to be able to step away from it? Or, is it true that I won't just be able to, at that point, get someone to manage it for me? Or is it true, and you start to dig into those things and really figure out where is that, it's the feeling, the discomfort feeling of that limiting belief that I think that's what I kind of thought this whole book was initially about too, was recognizing our limiting beliefs by the feelings that we get that are stopping us from doing the things that we really want to do. And so that's I think that's really kind of the whole point, is that's where the discomfort is, and
Thank you for
that's where
getting
you'll
us
find
all.
the growth.
Thank you for getting us back on track here, Jason. Good morning.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
leave
on
it to
track.
Jason.
You're on
He-
track.
he circles around back, but you make a good point, Jason. I think we've all just pointed that fact out, that we've all talked about stuff and we didn't really get to the heart of the matter of that discomfort, that we all sit here and go, but, and when we start to try and work through that discomfort, for me, it takes over heavy and big time. And it's like, oh, I really don't want to go through that. And then I don't do it. And that is, and that's what this book is supposed to help us look at. So that way
And
we
that's
can.
that's okay. That's okay. I think that is then your first step, is dealing with that discomfort. If you want to get to C, you got to go through steps A, B, and C, and you go to A, and then you realize, well, I want to get to C, but you realize that B is in your way. You don't keep focusing on C. You come back and focus on B. It's giving you that discomfort, and deal with that first and figure out a way past that. Either that, hey, that's just a limiting belief that I can get past like that, or it's actually something that I need to handle, either physically or financially, or maybe I need to retool a little bit and get more skill, or find a tool that's going to help me streamline that step. I think if it's stopping you, if that's the comfortable feeling. It's dig into that feeling and answer that question and that problem and get past that, so it stops hopping into your path when you're trying to accomplish something.
It's also okay to retire and have fun and enjoy your hobbies and not need to make money off of your hobbies. Just do it for the pure enjoyment of doing it, and maybe, hopefully, with intention, good intentions as you're doing it.
Sure. Good point.
I lost a good friend to suicide yesterday, and he was he was a visionary. He held our world in a state of love and peace, and he tried to get thousands of other people to do the same. And he did it. He did not have limiting beliefs. In fact, people persecuted him because he had no limiting beliefs. They said he was crazy. And I guess in ways he was, but it was a good way. And I've never met anybody that put out more love to everyone. He never looked down on anyone or anybody's situation. And he had a vision for our world that all of us could live in so much peace. And he went around the world talking to leaders and people and putting together committees. I mean, he was the real deal. And I don't know what caused him to do what he did. I think probably he got to a point where, because of some of the persecution that he was receiving, he decided that he could make better gains from the other side than from here. And I totally get that. But, as wonderful as social media is, sometimes you can maybe build it into something that you don't think you can fill those shoes, and then you have a lot of people relying on you, and it's a huge responsibility on your shoulders. And then maybe if a limiting belief drops in, then maybe it can turn in kind of a tragic moment where you just lash out and do something. Although I don't believe his was just a spur of the moment decision because of some of the last posts that he made. I can see where his mind was and where things were going. But it's okay to just be. And even if you can't do much anything except get out of bed, and even if you can't even get out of bed, that's okay too some days. And we lost a really good man. And on my days when I was less loving than I would care to be, I always had in the back of my mind that he was out there being that love all the time. And he still is. And now he'll be on my team. It's crazy how I went into mediumship just as all my friends started dying. I guess they weren't ready to say goodbye completely. So anyway, I love you guys.
Love you too. So tragic. I'm sorry, Catherine. It's hard to be in the now and appreciate what you have and still focus on the future. And all we really have is right now. And that's, I think, my big challenge.
Yeah, it is hard to it's hard to not get stuck. At the same time, you're trying to appreciate the now, but you're also trying to move forward, and you're trying to make a meaningful impact in the world, and you're trying to make financial gains and gains in love and general gains in life, and then you're comparing yourself to all this stuff out on the internet, and you can't even tell what is real and what isn't real, and on the stuff that's out there, and it's easy to kind of lose sight and forget that, like I think like Catherine was alluding to, that it's okay to be you and just be you, and that's fine. And you're impacting somebody's life, and you may not even realize it. And people care about you, and don't forget that. And reach out to anyone and everyone if you're feeling down and you just need someone to talk to. You'll be surprised at how many people are out there that are that actually do care. But they might just be wrapped up in their own life as well. So, and then again, there's the connection too. We're all kind of going through that same thing, but it's like being in a crowd and feeling like you're alone. So
Exactly. And I'm amazed that I am really not down and out. I don't feel terrible. I'm out there, and I try to bring some joy or spark into everyone's life, and just acknowledging people as you're passing by, talking to them in the grocery line or whatever. Just acknowledge them, their presence, make them feel important and worthwhile. I love you all so much. Thank
good
you.
point. Love you too, Lori. Love you, Catherine. So sorry about your friend. Sounds like he had a big impact on a lot of people. That's very sad too. Regardless, it's sorry about your loss. Love you.
I love you so much, Catherine. Sending you all my love. I'm so sorry. That is just, I'm just so sorry.
One, sorry for your loss. Two, like you said, his love is still there, and what he put out is still out there, in the form of those that he's touched, in you, which can still radiate out and still be put out in the world and still shared. And that is a part that in his being in his life and how he was, you received, and now you have that blessing. And now with that, I hope it helps you to continue to put that love, that same kind of love out, which I believe you already do, but even in more so now because of who he was.
I was trying to work on some of the discomfort that I've been feeling from in trying to achieve, some of my goals. And it's funny, some of the goals I've been working on for such a long time, I have a difficult time reigniting the inspiration that even made me want to do it in the first place. and that, in a way, has become a discomfort that gets in the way. And so then I go to do something, and then I realize the limiting beliefs, the discomforts sometimes take different forms, to where sometimes it's just the distraction, or the getting ready to get ready to do it, or just the lack of inspiration, the lack of that feeling of, maybe not needing to be in the perfect mood in order to get started. When you're still it's kind of like being in the darkness and having to take those turns and move forward before you can see that light, to where you can see where you're going again. Because a lot of times, once you just get started on it, that your mood changes and that flame gets reignited. And so sometimes it just takes getting moving on it and pushing away any of those fears about, well, once you become big and famous, how is that going to change you? Just go ahead and get your stuff out there on, and wherever you want to do it, and maybe change the reason for it. If your focus on something that you wanted to do is turn to being able to make money off it, or become a big influencer with it, go back to just like sharing it and putting it out there. So you at least have something out there that will, kind of be your legacy, less pressure and all that. And I what you said earlier, Dan, in regards to, you put it out there, and people will, that are in line with what you are and what you're doing, those are the people that you'll end up attracting. And that's a really great way to do it, rather than trying to just go out and blast everybody with the news that now you have something out there, or spamming people to get them to go to your website. It's allowing it to be organic and people to find it, and for it to grow through people sharing it. Sure, it's slower, but if it's not something you're trying to, make a bunch of money right off the bat with, then, maybe that's where you start. Maybe that's where you just kind of enjoy doing it, and you stay retired and just do it for fun, and yeah. So
Absolutely, because I am not looking to become one of those greedy rich people, and it's hard not to classify everybody in that they're all greedy and all they're in it for themselves. Because again, I don't want to be responsible or a counselor or anything like that. Appreciate you. I guess it's getting past the hour quite a bit. Amazing
what-
discussion.
I like what you were just saying, Jason, though, on some of those points, because I think in that when you do it that way, it's like you said, it's more pure, more organic, more real, and out of that, I think people see that and can feel it, and at that point, I think it would then attract that same type of feel or mindset, or how, I think it would then grow more that way and be more real, and hopefully it would stay that way too, because a lot of times you see things that start out of that just simple, I just want to put it out there, just share, nothing more, nothing less, and then it grows out of that pure simpleness, but then it can also morph into something and create something. So it's also finding that balance too, to work on keeping it in that realm, but sometimes things take on lives of their own too, and grow more than what you ever thought it would grow to being also. But
Yeah, you're right.
that great conversation today.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the newness of it itself can be a little uncomfortable of anything, and the unknowns can be uncomfortable. I think we need to be aware that to not take on all of that before it even gets to us. Just write 5 lines of a poem and put it out there on your, put it out there, and then find a place where you like to put it out there. Like good places where people actually publish stuff that are kind of in that genre, or that type of a thing, whether it be painting or poetry or what have you. But other than that, then just write and put it out there. Write and post, and yeah, don't worry about the other stuff, because you can always come back to that idea. People are always asking for your autograph, and you say, no, that's not what I'm about. They want to give you money all the time. You're like, no, I don't want to be a rich, greedy guy.
I'll take that.
Don't refuse it before they even offer it to you.
You're so wise for being a young whippersnapper.
Oh gosh.
That's so funny, and I was just reminded of this, what we do here every week, I don't feel like this is a burden when I'm communicating with you guys. I don't feel like it is like work when I'm like putting stuff on our recordings on YouTube. It's just what it's part of this aspect of what we're doing here. And I'm not trying to, turn it into $1 million business or anything like that. We started doing this because I loved reading these books and just wanted to talk about them with other people. And so I love that you just brought that up. It doesn't have to be what we fear it could be, if you will, or fear it might become, or whatever, might have all these responsibilities relating to whatever it is. It's just do what we love. And yeah, I mean, shoot, it could be as simple as just posting your poems on Facebook, I don't know, whatever. I mean, that's how I started, just with you guys. Well, we started with Google Hangouts years ago and found each other that way. But when Google Hangouts went to the wayside, we started the Facebook group, so I think that I think we forget that sometimes, is that we can just do and be, we can just be what it is that we enjoy being. And um, we don't have to make it into a thing. You know, we don't have to make money from it if we don't, if that's not our goal. It maybe our goal is just to enjoy the thing that we do, which, you know, I mean, I love doing this with you guys, and I love having these conversations. And this is, you know, we've been doing it now for a lot of years. And I don't even know what my life would be like if I hadn't started doing this. So I'm thankful that I did. You know, and at the time I was like, you know, there's somebody else doing a phone call doing the same thing, and I could have been afraid to start doing my own thing because somebody else was already doing something similar, but you know, I wasn't, and so I did, and here we are. And you know, so um, and at the time, maybe I had, you know, a thought process in my head of, you know, I'm going to turn this into a Huffington Post kind of a thing, you know, you know, or a tiny Buddha website or whatever, you know. At one point I had those thoughts, but then I'm like, I don't want all that work. I don't want to have to do all of that. I just want to enjoy what I'm doing, you know. So, and that's what we're doing, and here we are. So
Please
anyway.
don't become a Huffington Post. No.
Well, you know, my thought process wasn't to be that type of content. It was just to be a website that had that much, you know, self-development, you know, kind of things on there, and really interactive, and everybody was getting all kinds of value from it, you know. But I realized in a pretty short period of time that I was not going to do all that work. So, you know.
Yeah, you have a pretty nice website.
Yeah, I did. I spent a lot of
Actually.
time on that, and then now it's just sitting there not doing anything because I don't feel like working on it. So, you know.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll throw this out
Hmm?
also, that I think initially in all of our minds, when we kind of first started this, we were all thinking about how it would help, and then we would grow our own businesses. And we kind of probably, if that had happened, we probably would not be here where we are today doing this. But over the years, for me personally, I've been blessed. I am, you know, except every now and then when times come up and life happens and can't be here, but I love being here on my Saturday mornings here with you guys. I look forward to it every week. It's part of my life, and it blesses me in so many other ways. It's so funny because when I talk about this to people just in general, like when I'm Ubering and stuff and things like that, I think they can sense the love and the feel of what I feel about this group and how I think about this group, you know. And I'll tell them, yeah, we have a website and all that and everything, but I don't sit there with the thought, oh, I got to get them to the website. Or no, it's just a very natural, normal feeling about something I love, about people I love. And it's weird. I tell them, I say, none of us have met in person, but yet over the years, the love and the genuineness and what we care and feel for each other is so more real and there than maybe with some of my own friends. So in that aspect, if it were to blow up and take off, yeah, sure, I deal with that, but I'll be honest, I don't think I want it to be that big. You know, I like this. I like this group. I like doing what we do. I thoroughly enjoy it. It feels something inside of me that helps me, and that's where I'm at with that now. It's like when I first started this, I was like, yeah, I want to get my own. I want to, but even that in my life's changed, and I've taken on new perspectives and new goals. So in that aspect, yeah. And over the years, we've had people come and go, add, change, move on with it where they're at, and been blessed by them. But at the same point, the group and the people that are here are the ones that are supposed to be here, and that's how I look at it.
All right, guys, we should probably wrap up. I know we all have things to do today, and we've been on here for a while, so I'm sure we could talk all afternoon, but All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap up the recording. So for those of you who are watching, if you've made it this far, by all means, like this video and share it with anybody you think might find it useful. And if you want to join us, you can find us by just searching for Mindset Mastery Collective on Facebook. You'll find our Facebook group and you get involved with us. So with that, guys, have a great, awesome, amazing week. And we'll see you next time on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.